Have you ever considered how political concepts shape the societies we live in? In our world today, diverse political systems shape the cultures, economies, and social structures of countries across the globe. These systems, deeply rooted in history, philosophy, and human nature, are the bedrock upon which societies are built. First, let's consider republicanism, as seen in countries like the United States. This system is based on the idea that the head of state is an elected or appointed official, and power lies with the people. It's a representative democracy where citizens elect officials to make decisions on their behalf. Then there's federalism, a system where power is divided between a central government and regional or state governments, each with its own set of powers and responsibilities. Germany is a prime example of a federal system. Authoritarianism, on the other hand, concentrates power in the hands of a single leader or a small group. Political freedoms and pluralism are often limited, as is the case in North Korea. In contrast, we have totalitarianism, an extreme form of authoritarianism, where the government seeks to control every aspect of public and private life, often through propaganda and repression, as was the case in the Soviet Union. The United Kingdom exemplifies a constitutional monarchy, where a monarch serves as a ceremonial head of state, while an elected parliament holds significant political power. Next, we explore oligarchy, a system where a small group of individuals or families, often with significant wealth or influence, hold power and make key decisions. Russia's history offers examples of this system. In a theocracy like Iran, religious leaders or religious principles play a significant role in governance, and the legal system is often based on religious law. Fascism, an authoritarian ideology that emphasizes nationalism and a strong centralized government, was historically prevalent in Italy. China, on the other hand, is a communist state where the means of production are commonly owned, and there is no private ownership. Lastly, we have parliamentary democracy, as in the United Kingdom, where the executive branch derives its legitimacy from and is accountable to the legislature, with the head of government usually being the leader of the majority party in parliament. Prepare to journey through time and across continents as we delve into these political concepts. Imagine a country where the people's voice matters, where the head of state is elected or appointed. Welcome to the concept of republicanism. Now let's journey to India, the world's largest republic. Here, the head of state is a president and head of the government is prime minister. This president, while largely ceremonial, is a symbol of the nation's unity and integrity. The real power, however, lies with the people, expressed through their elected representatives in the parliament. This is the essence of republicanism, a government of the people, by the people, for the people. It's a system that values individual freedom and equality, but it's not without its challenges. India, like any republic, grapples with balancing majority rule with minority rights, ensuring equitable representation, and maintaining the integrity of its democratic institutions. Yet, despite these challenges, the republic stands. India, a republic, where the people's voice echoes in the corridors of power. What happens when power is shared between a central government and regional governments? Let's take a journey to Australia to understand this political concept called federalism. In a federal system, power is divided, shared, and balanced between a central or federal government and regional or state governments. This structure provides a unique blend of unity and diversity. In Australia, for instance, the federal government handles broad matters like defense, foreign affairs, and trade, while the states manage areas like health, education, and law enforcement. This division of power ensures that decisions are made at the level where they are most effective and beneficial. It offers the flexibility to tailor policies to regional needs while maintaining national coherence. But federalism isn't without challenges. It requires careful coordination and negotiation to prevent power struggles and ensure smooth governance. Yet, despite these challenges, Australia thrives, embodying the essence of federalism. Australia, a federation where power is shared in harmony. Envision a society where power is concentrated in the hands of a single leader or a small group. This is the essence of authoritarianism. A real-world example of this political concept is North Korea. Here, the reins of governance and decision-making rest firmly within a select few. The freedom to participate in the political process is curtailed, and the voices of ordinary citizens are often drowned out by the ruling elite. It's a system that limits political freedoms, often resulting in a lack of political pluralism. Expressing dissent or advocating for change can be a risky endeavor, often met with severe consequences. This is the reality for the people of North Korea. a nation where freedoms we often take for granted are nothing more than a distant hope. North Korea, an authoritarian society where power is in few hands. Imagine a society where the government seeks to control every aspect of life. This is the crux of totalitarianism, a political concept that takes authoritarianism to its extreme. It's a system where the state's reach extends far beyond the public sphere and into the private lives of its citizens. A stark example of this was the Soviet Union under Joseph Stalin. In an effort to consolidate power and control, the state used a combination of propaganda and repression. Propaganda was wielded to manipulate public opinion and create an illusion of utopia, while repression ensured that any form of dissent was swiftly and harshly dealt with. The state's omnipresence was felt in every corner of society, from the arts to education, from workplaces to homes. It was a society where individual freedoms were sacrificed for the sake of the state's absolute power. The Soviet Union, a historical example of totalitarianism, where the state was omnipresent. Picture a society where a monarch serves as a ceremonial head of state, while an elected parliament holds political power. This is the essence of a constitutional monarchy. Let's take a trip across the pond to the United Kingdom, a prime example of this political concept. Here, the Queen or King is the official head of state, but their role is largely symbolic. The real political power lies in the hands of the elected parliament. The Prime Minister, chosen from the majority party, is the head of government and carries out the day-to-day governance. The monarchy and the parliament together provide a unique balance of power. The monarch's role, steeped in centuries of tradition, brings a sense of continuity and stability, while the parliament, elected by the people, ensures democratic governance. So, in the grand political chessboard, the United Kingdom stands as a unique player, a constitutional monarchy where tradition meets democracy. What happens when a small group of individuals or families hold power and make key decisions? Welcome to the realm of oligarchy, a political concept that has made its mark throughout history. The term oligarchy comes from the Greek words oligos, meaning few, and archein, meaning to rule. This form of governance is characterized by a concentration of power in the hands of a select few, often those with significant wealth or influence. One historical example that brings this concept to life is Russia in the early post-Soviet era. At this time, a handful of business magnates, commonly known as the oligarchs, controlled significant sectors of Russia's economy. These individuals used their wealth to influence politics, shape policy, and ultimately steer the course of the nation. In an oligarchy, the majority may have little say in the decisions that affect their lives, as power rests with the few. So we return to our initial question and find our answer in Russia, a historical oligarchy, where the few ruled. Consider a society where religious leaders or religious principles play a significant role in governance. This is known as a theocracy. A prime example of such a system is Iran. In Iran, the supreme leader, who is a religious authority, holds the highest power. The legal system is heavily influenced by religious law, with the principles of the Shia Islam shaping the country's constitution and judicial proceedings. In this system, the fusion of religion and politics is evident. Religious leaders not only guide spiritual matters, but also dictate political decisions, merging the divine and the earthly. However, this intertwining can sometimes blur the line between religious doctrine and civil law, leading to debates about human rights and personal freedoms. It's fascinating to see how religion, a deeply personal and spiritual aspect of human life, can shape a nation's political structure in such a profound way. Iran, a theocracy where religion guides governance. Imagine a society that emphasizes nationalism, strong centralized government, and suppresses opposition through force. This, in essence, is fascism, a political concept that rose to prominence in the early 20th century, with Italy as its most notorious example under the leadership of Benito Mussolini. Under fascism, Italy was transformed into a one-party dictatorship where dissent was not just discouraged, but often met with brutal force. Fascism thrives on the idea of a unified national identity, often at the expense of individual freedoms and diversity. It's a system where the state holds the ultimate authority, and the leader is viewed almost as a paternal figure, guiding the nation towards a perceived greater good. However, history has shown us the dark side of such unchecked power. The suppression of opposition, the curbing of personal liberties, and the propagation of state-controlled propaganda led to a society where fear was a common denominator. Italy, a historical example of fascism, where nationalism was paramount. What happens when the means of production are commonly owned, and there is no private ownership? Picture this as we delve into the concept of communism. In a communist society, individual ownership of property is replaced by collective ownership. The government, acting as the representative of the people, takes control of all resources and means of production. This system aims to eliminate class disparities and ensure that wealth is evenly distributed among the population. Take China, for instance. Since the late 1940s, China has been a communist country. The government owns all the land and resources and controls all sectors of the economy. They decide what to produce, how much to produce, and at what price to sell. In theory, this system aims to create a classless society where everyone contributes according to their ability and receives according to their needs. China, a communist society where resources are shared. This is communism, a society built on the collective rather than the individual. Picture a society where the executive branch derives its legitimacy from and is accountable to the legislature. Welcome to the world of parliamentary democracy. Nestled in the heart of Europe, the United Kingdom stands as a shining example of this political concept. Imagine a kingdom where the crown and the commoner come together in a unique blend of tradition and modernity. Here, the executive power is not a separate entity, but a part of the parliament itself. The head of government is usually the leader of the majority party, making it a system that truly embodies the principle of majority rules. Decisions aren't made in isolation, but through debates, discussions, and sometimes even disagreements. It's a system that values accountability, transparency, and the voice of the majority. This is the United Kingdom, a parliamentary democracy where the legislature reigns supreme. Now that we've traveled through time and across continents exploring various political concepts, we return to democracy, the proven form of political concept. Democracy, in essence, is a system where the power is vested in the hands of the people. It's a political concept that allows citizens to have a say in the decisions that affect their lives. Unlike authoritarianism, totalitarianism, or oligarchy, democracy is not about the concentration of power. It's about the dispersion of power. It's about ensuring that everyone has an equal voice and that no single entity can dictate the course of the nation. In democratic societies like the United States, we see a thriving culture of freedom, individual rights, and social equality. These societies have demonstrated resilience, adaptability, and progress time and again. They've shown us that when people have the freedom to express their ideas, to challenge the status quo, and to strive for better, great things can happen. In contrast, consider the rigidity and repression often associated with systems like totalitarianism or fascism. These systems stifle individuality and dissent, leading to societies that lack the dynamism and creativity that are the hallmarks of democratic societies. Furthermore, democracy fosters an environment of checks and balances. Power is not concentrated, but rather it's divided among several institutions that keep each other in check. This prevents the misuse of power and ensures that the nation is run for the benefit of all its citizens. Lastly, it's in democratic societies that we often see the most innovation, the most progress, and the most prosperity. That's not a coincidence. It's a testament to the power of a system that values every voice, that encourages debate and dissent, and that believes in the potential of its people. Democracy, perhaps the most successful political concept, where the power truly belongs to the people. Remember, your voice, your vote, can shape the world.